We're joined by Saleem Oweis, UNICEF's regional spokesperson for the Middle East and North Africa. Mr. Saleem, welcome to Q News. We're glad to have you with us to know your inputs on the matter. So, in light of the continuous Israeli airstrikes targeting infrastructure in Lebanon and the orders by the Israeli occupation forces to the Lebanese people to evacuate their homes, can you give us a deeper insight into how things are on the ground in Lebanon?
Well, as you said, it's being intensified, and as we heard in your reports, thousands, but over 1,200,000 people have been displaced from their homes during the last month. Most of them, 1 million of them, only during the past few weeks. Among those are 400,000 children now, either in schools sheltering or on the streets, and this is just a part of the overall catastrophe for the children and their families in Lebanon. We're talking about over 127 children killed since the beginning of the escalation in last October, and almost 900 children injured in the past months. So the situation is really dire, and the lack of essential necessities is becoming more and more a problem to the children and their parents and their families, as the aid is struggling to go to them, while all of us, the international humanitarian community is trying, and the national, of course, are trying to get the aid to those people. But with the intensifying bombardment and attacks, it's really hard for children to keep afloat and their families.
Now, speaking of children, what are the main challenges that UNICEF is facing in Lebanon?
Well, first of all, is we are losing too many children to this conflict, and that's one of the main concerns, of course, children's lives, but also the movement of children, lack of the essentials. We're talking about water, about food, about shelter, about blankets and mattresses, and now we are getting into the winter season in Lebanon. So all the necessities are becoming more and more lacking. Also the infrastructure is being hit, and that strains it and strains the help and support that it can get to the children and their families. We're talking about especially the water infrastructure, the sanitation infrastructure, and the health system. All of those alarm us that we might be seeing disease spreading. We might be seeing more and more preventable causes of suffering spreading inside Lebanon.
Now, sir, how has developments in neighboring countries influenced the humanitarian situation in Lebanon, particularly regarding refugee populations and resource distribution?
So the whole of the situation in Lebanon is really getting all the agencies, the humanitarian agencies, the humanitarian community together to respond. But of course that needs to be scaled up to meet the needs. That means that the international community needs to step up their aid and their support for the work that we do on the ground. What we need is more of financial support, but also more of support to the civilians and the systems in Lebanon to be able to respond to what's happening.
Now, looking ahead, what are your projections for the humanitarian situation in Lebanon in the upcoming weeks?
Well, if things continue as is now, if bombardment and attacks continue, that means that more children will be at risk of protection issues such as harassment, such as labor, different issues. Their health and their well-being is at stake. Of course, we're talking now that, according to the government, over 1,200,000 children in Lebanon are not getting the education that they need. 60% of the schools are occupied by displaced people. All of this means that children, if this continues, children will face more loss to their education, to their well-being, to their health, and of course to their mental health, which the more this violence continues, the more footprint that trauma will leave with them for the rest of their lives, unfortunately.
That was Saleem Oweis, UNICEF Regional Spokesperson for the Middle East and North Africa. Thank you so much for joining us.